All right. So it seems episode 5 didn't have a whole bunch. Episode 6 had a lot. So we're just going to roll through 5 and 6 together. So let's spend some time together. This is Grotesquerie. Hey guys, thanks so much for clicking on the video. I appreciate you coming in. Listen, like I said, episode 5 wasn't a whole lot, but episode 6 got a whole lot better. So, and episode 5 wasn't really bad. It just didn't have a whole lot. It gave us what we needed. And they kind of dragged it out. You know how they go. Anyway, let's do episode 5, okay? This is Grotesquerie, season 1, episode 5. Listen, okay, so last we saw, they picked up the girl, and I had told you all that it reminded me of the beginning and the end of Chainsaw Massacre. The girl's name was Andrea. And they get a little bit down the road, Andrea, she's covered in blood and looks a whole mess, and she's not really saying much. Of course, Lois is trying to talk to her to see like what's going on, where something. And sister is trying to say a little something, but not really getting anything from her. She then suggested they go to this motel that's coming up. She said, "Oh, you'll be safe there," and she said you should stay there. Sister suggested not staying because, again, this random woman that had been beat half to death, look at a mess, and we pick her up. She's suggested where we stay. I don't quite think so. Anyway, but they get there. There's a pool. There's so many things to say that they shouldn't be there. There's a whole swimming pool, and the pool is purple. It is purple. And there's another girl who is the girl that's actually working the front desk, who's checking them in. She tells them, when they ask her about the purple pool, she tells them, well, the ash from the air, from the burning and everything, has copper in it. And that's what takes, when you mix the chemicals of it and the chlorine, turns it purple. And first thing, Lois noticing that the women are all beaten. She said, "You're beaten too." And she told her something about putting makeup on her eyes. She's like, "And it won't come up green." She's like, "What green? What are you talking about?" Acting like she don't really know what it is. They noticed a guy outside. He's standing there, and he just got a real strange look to him. And they said his name was Nick. Nick looked a little suspect, but they just kind of rolled with it. Sister, the whole time, got her third eye on, and she just did not feel comfortable being there at all. Lois is kind of zoomed in on what Lois is zoomed in on. Her phone doesn't have a lot of power and different things like that. She just want to take a shower and whatever. There was another guy outside standing, looking suspect. Just really weird. Everything was really weird. And shortly thereafter, the nurse, not the nurse, sorry, the nun goes out, and she's saying, "I'm gonna try to move some of the brush away from the building that's out there in case some of the fires kind of come and things is blowing and that kind of thing." And she goes, and they separate. I said, "Why are y'all separating? Why are y'all separating?" Anyway, we got Lois in the bathroom trying to talk on the phone, this, that thing, and the other, on and on and on and on. She actually goes down to the front desk. She ends up questioning Nick, questioning the girl at the front desk again. And then there's like this whole situation where she ends up seeing this snow globe, and the snow globe, so yeah, it's a little gift from Grotesquerie. And shortly after that, she's noticed that she's being shot at. So she's like running, trying to get back. In the meantime, you got the sister is over moving the brush and carrying on. She runs into trouble outside. There's people out there fighting. I mean, just everything. It's just chaos, and there's two cars that run into each other. They're screaming and yelling. There's children involved. She goes over trying to help them. She turns around and she looks. She sees Andrea being dunked head first into the pool. He's like drowning her in that purple pool. It's Nick. Of course, she knows that there's chemicals in the pool and whatever and whatnot. And she said, stop it, stop it, stop it. So she's like all in the midst of it. So she runs on back to the room. At that point, there's the shots are going off. And so we got Lois and her join back up. Then they go out. There's this whole big standoff outside where Nick is saying he doesn't trust this person, that person, the other person. And then you got Andrea. Then there's another girl at the top, which is the girl they actually, the girl from the front desk. She's over there. Nick is saying he doesn't trust her. It's a whole big standoff. And the weirdest thing, you got Sister Megan is sitting there and she's like trying to calm them down. You got Lois. She has her shotgun and she's telling him to let Andrea go, or let let Andrea go. It's not Andrea, but the desk girl. Tell him to let her go. It's Andrea at the top part. And that's the standoff. He said he didn't trust her. Next thing you know, you see this truck pull up, and the truck, they're shooting at this person who got out of the car because the person ends up snatching Andrea and it's like trying to take her to the car, and they're shooting at this person, but it looks like these bullets are deflecting. It was the weirdest thing. It was just so weird. Everything about them being in this town, I really hate it. It's all real stupid, and it just really doesn't make any logical sense. It's just craziness. It's like being sort of like there is Sodom and Gomorrah. It's like everything is going on around them. It's nonstop chaos, and nothing that they do is actually effective. So it really puts you in matter like Sodom and Gomorrah. Yeah, I guess. Look, ashes, chaos. Yeah, I guess that's what they were reaching at. Anyway, the truck, they get her, and you see they stop shooting, and the sister like runs up and she's like, let her go, let her go. And then you see the person in the truck shoot a shot, and you just see Sister Megan standing still. Baby, he done cut her gut with a shotgun. And she falls out. Next thing you know, you got her and Lois. They finally do get, they're going from her point of view, or her point of vision, and you see her fall out, and you see her like black out, and then you start seeing her come back to. Here we wake up to, they're at the hospital. They got her all hooked up to machines. They think they're not so sure that they're going to be able to save her. Lois ends up having this back and forth because by this time the father has shown up, and he is just talking to Lois like she just ain't shit. You used her as bait, this, that, and the other. You need to go find out who did this to her. You have no idea who that is that's laying there. Like, yeah, well, who the hell is she? It's Sister Megan, who's screwing you when we ain't looking. Like, what are you talking about? Anyway, but he told her, now go. Like talking to her real grimy. Anyway, Lois ends up getting back to, her work site, and they start going through. She's like, we were definitely like drawn there. It's, somebody's like hunting me or whatever. So they start going through different people that she had put in jail that could possibly be out. There's nobody. And then this name, Glorious McCarb, comes up. She has gotten out of jail. So there we go with this Glorious McCarb. So they're like, okay, well, you better find her because maybe that's her trying to find you, whatever. A mess. So we go back to the house. We got Lois drunk, I mean, just completely sloshed, drunk, laying on the floor. The cup is turned over. They end up calling her. It's like the same old stuff. Every crime scene she goes to, when they call her, she's in a drunken stupor. She gets there. When she shows up, there's blank stares and vomiting. And that's like every time there's a crime scene, I'm like, oh God, we know it has to do with grotesquerie. Because the people are just, it's always something that's so outlandish. This one was at a maternity house that's attached to St. Agnes. And on the wall, written in blood, it said, "Follow me, Detective Tryon, and let the dead bring the dead." Matthew 8:22. Ridiculous. There's three women there, 30, 32, and 36 weeks pregnant. The babies are literally missing from them, and they are dead. And they were removed by cesareans. And they said they basically, again, as usual with grotesquerie murders, they died from like shock and just overwhelmed with fear. The craziest. So what they hear is through the grapevine is coming down. The FBI basically wants them off the case, that whole office off the case. They realize it really is about Lois, and they just kind of feel like maybe if they get her off the case, grotesquerie will literally stop with the murders and kind of let it go, since they're, it's like a back and forth. It's a cat and mouse game between those two. She ends up getting another call, and he said, "We might got a lead." They get over there to this place. There are three children that are left in the house, little dirty little kids. Three kids left alone. The mom was pregnant and said, the oldest child said she left with a man. And the baby, she was pregnant. They said, "Please get mommy back to come back." Her and Clancy. So the baby was already named. She's real pregnant. They're like, okay. And when she got there was an officer there, Officer Franklin, who was actually with the kids. He's working with them. She told him, she said, you're really good with them. And she said, I can use you. I can use you. And I said, she must be thinking of using him to protect her daughter, because he was like so good with working with these children, and the children were opening up and talking to him and everything. That was just my thing. I said, okay, maybe she's trying to find another babysitter for her daughter instead of Fast Frank all the time. Anyway, she ends up going. This is where we're coming to the end of this episode. She pulls up, and there's a car that's like spun out on the road, and there's like blood, and it's just kind of weird, and people are working around in the area. They're at it looked like an orange field. These trees, these oranges, whatever. These people are working. These Hispanic folk are just working, and they ain't even stopping like anything weird is going on. She comes and walks past the car. She walks down into the field. She ends up seeing this Hispanic woman standing out there, and she's holding a baby, bloody baby, wrapped in newspaper, and talking about, he's coming, and the baby is alive, but she's still saying, he's coming. I'm like, what kind of weirdness is this? That is where episode 5 actually ended. I was like, see, just strangeness. Again, just strange. Very, very strange. Let's move on into episode 6. Episode 6. They end up getting this woman. She's looking. This woman looked crazy. She looked crazy. You seen her up there on the screen. That was the woman, just crazy looking and way too old to be having a baby. Okay. She's laying. They got her up here in this place, this hospital. They said, listen, the blood wasn't her blood. Her name is Maisie DeBrocious Montgomery, is what she said her name was. And she's speaking, and she said, I just want my baby so I can go ahead and go, this, that, and the other. And Lois is trying to kind of question her a little bit and get something out of her. She's going on and she's like, girl, you know, you too damn old to be having a baby, child. And this, that thing, and the other told her, you know, girl, the blood on you is not yours. This, that thing, and the other. She keeps speaking. And as she's speaking, she keeps saying glorious. And she said, well, why do you keep saying glorious? It could be a glorious this, it could be a glorious that. And he's, you know, he's looking for you, baby. And this, that, and talking all in code and carrying on. But she kept saying glorious. So, of course, Lois picked up on it. And she said, I just want my baby and I want to go. She told her, something is not right. There are babies that are missing. This thing and the other. Something's not right. And she says, what wrong have I done? And she said, yeah, but see, what wrong have you done? And Lois told her, girl, if you only knew. Anyway, so she goes away from her. And that's when they tell her, Lois's boss tells her, she's actually from Greece. And that's not really her name. Her name ain't really Maisie. She's involved with stealing babies. So then they said Glorious McCall is the woman. And of course, she knows her. She knows her. And she's like, she was a pimp and she put women on the track. You know, she did human trafficking, and she's a heroin addict and that kind of thing. So then we actually end up seeing her and old boy get together. They go out to find Glorious, because that's what her boss told. She said, you better go find her before she finds you. So she gets Officer Franklin. They go out there and they find Glorious McCall Ministries. She's out in a trailer park. Okay. And she comes out and she pulls her, she says, let's talk. So they go inside the trailer. They sit in there talking. And as they're talking, she basically has Officer Franklin in there. He's peeping the same. And he's peeping that they're literally being surrounded. There's like 3 people and they're being surrounded. He kind of whispers it off to her. She's sitting there talking to Glorious. Glorious is telling her basically how she's basically running this ministry and everything, and sort of sound like a cult, you know, a little cult of her own. And she's doing this, that, and she's like, how did you get out of jail? She told her, baby, I was an informant. This, that, thing, and the other. And shortly after that, baby, they literally try to take her out. And her and Officer Franklin, baby, lit everybody up. They tore them down, baby. I said, that's what I'm talking about. And took Miss Glorious and said, girl, I'm going to take you on in, honey. I'm going to take you on in. And she went to go. She said, you're being toyed with by a false prophet. She said, he is using you as a lamb. Maisie was one of his cult. So she got her. They moved on, got up out of there. That scene just kind of moves on again. The scene, some of these scenes are just dropped in. Like, okay, it's like more and more we're just dropping things in. Anyway, so she's at home and she's going over everything. She got everything all spread out over the table. She drinking like she usually do, and she gets an unknown caller, and they're not saying anything. And she's telling them, you playing on the phone and carrying on, but I'm going to get you. I'm going to get you. I'm going to roll up on you and I'm going to get you. And I'm not afraid to die. But it ain't going to go down like that anyway. You know, she's talking her stuff. So then she is sitting there, and the next thing you know, you see like this flash of light outside. I'm like, what is that? She go flying outside with this gun again. I'm like, oh, God, so weird. Ain't seen the daughter. Ain't seen nothing. She goes out. It's the red shoe nurse that showed up at Lois's house. And she's like, no, whoa, put that down. It's me. You know, it's that thing and the other. And she's like, all right. So she said, can we talk? Because what I need to say to you doesn't need to be said outside here on the porch. So they go in. And she gets to sitting down. She told her, it was a peace offering. I want you to just liquor some liquor from when I'm out of town or whatever. The two of them are sitting there drinking, kicking the bobo, right? She gets to telling her basically, I really have to explain to you. I just got to get it off my chest. She was actually seeing Marshall before he got sick. She's literally sitting there at the table telling Lois all about how she fell in love with her husband and why she fell in love with her husband. And she started taking this class and this, that, thing, and the other, and then how they got to really messing with each other and carrying on and saying how he felt such guilt because he was so in love with them. She said, I could have taken him and ran away with him, this, that, and the other, but he was always so worried about you all. And when he cried and this, that, thing, and the other, and oh, then the next thing I know, he's coming in to my job and he's all messed up, and then he had to be incubated and blah, 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 blah. She's crying and carrying on. And she basically started to sympathize with her. She put her hands out for her to hold on to her hands, and she's like, she's like, I get it. She's like, and my rage for you is really, something different. I just have nothing, this, that, and the other. So she turned it around, made herself the victim. And Lois is like, this, that, and the other. She's like, she's like, how wonderful you are to be able to sympathize with me, this, that, and the other. She says, because, like when you had your gun in my face that day, it was just, that's so crazy, this, that, and the other. She's like, but I knew you were better than whatever. She said, honey, listen, don't be so sure so soon. Baby, she pulled her pistol out and put it in her face and told her, you got 4 minutes to get your ass out of my house. And I don't want to see you around my husband anymore. If I see you around my husband again, I'm going to split your head, honey. Split it to the white meat, girl. So that was that. I said, oh my gosh, she got her right together. I said, this is good, because I was so tired of her always having the upper hand on Lois. I was just sick of it. I'm like, Lois, I'm sick of her talking to you any kind of way and doing, just doing any old thing. I'm like, I'm sick of this heifer. Anyway, so then we get another scene with Maisie and Lois. And she's trying to get information about Maisie. She'll let her know, I know that the babies are stolen, this, that, thing, and the other. There are more babies that are missing. And, Maisie started talking. Now she's talking crazy now. Those weren't good mothers. They had those babies condemned. Those babies were condemned to hell because of those mothers. So we had to save them. All that old cult bullshit. I said, oh my God. And she's asking, where are these babies, Maisie? Like, I'm 5150 in you, so you ain't going nowhere. Girl, where are these babies? So then she tells her, I said, oh God, here we go. Another piece of the puzzle. Somebody always setting you up to go somewhere. This was, they end up, you see in part, but the J&F Milk Bottling Company. When they get in there, they go in, we see them raid into the place. They find women trapped in different contraptions, very much Saw-like. And they have these contraptions attached to their breasts, and their milk is being literally yanked from their bodies, and it looked very painful. It was like all these women that don't have nothing to do with nothing, they've just been snatched up, and they all the stolen babies were actually there. They were alive and literally feeding off of milk that was being drained from these women. Real sick shit. And Lois actually strays off, and she's going through the building herself. And I'm like, why are you going off by yourself, Lois? But she's fearless. And she finds this room, which basically a shrine of her. All these pictures of her at the different scenes, the crime scenes, her at her house through the window, and all this stuff. And you see somebody coming up behind her, and when you look, you literally see them put their hand around her neck with a butcher knife, and they got their face covered. They're all dressed in black, and you basically see Lois's life basically flashing before her eyes. Her life is flashing before her eyes. She's like, you see her daughter, you see her husband, you see her and her husband when they were happier. You see, like, her life is literally flashed before her eyes. You're like, okay, this is the life and death situation. And then she do her stuff, baby. She grabbed the wrist and popped that wrist, baby, and turn around and takes this fool out. Takes him clean out, baby. And this is when you see her step over them and she goes to unmask them, and boom, where the episode is done. And I'm evil, evil, evil. Like, who the hell is it? Who is it? And I'm like, oh gosh. So that's leading us into episode 7. There's only 8 episodes. So I'm going to go and watch episode 7 now so I can find out who in the hell that was with the mask over their face. But that's why I told you I was going to put episode 5 and 6 in together. 6 was really good. 5 felt a lot like a filler, but it's getting more and more weird, but not weird to the point where it's like irritating to where you don't want to watch anymore. It's definitely keeping you engaged. Definitely keeping you engaged. This series feels to me like it could have been a part 1 and a part 2 to a movie. Yeah, like it could have been 2 whole movies together. I don't know. It's weird. But anyway, I'm still all in. I hope you all are still all in. Like I said, this was episode 5 and episode 6 of Grotesquerie. I am going to watch episode 7 now, and I will talk to you all very, very soon. Yes, I will. All right, you guys. Later. Bye.